You have two choices when you're at this kind of a pivotal growth point. You can keep muscling through, layering on more and more effort and doing more and more over this shaky foundation. Or you can pause. You can take that step back. You can zoom out, pull yourself out of the weeds for a moment and consider, okay, how do I need to shift the way that I'm operating to do this more sustainably? Because we want this whole thing to be life-giving, right? And supportive for you, for your team, for everyone involved in this mission. Our calling is not meant to be in constant conflict with our well-being. I would argue that God has designed it such that it's meant to allow you to thrive.
Overwhelm, reaction mode, and just keeping up are the old way.
You need real, root-level strategies and practical steps to grow your business or ministry without exhaustion and burnout.
Hi there, we're Anna Saucier
And Megan Gephardt,
best friends and business consultants who help faith-filled women create sustainable growth through simple strategy with a people-first approach.
Here at Apostolic Fruit, we hope to offer you clarity, support, accompaniment, and healing.
One tiny step at a time.
Hey friend, Megan Gephardt here. Welcome back to the Apostolic Fruit Podcast. Today's episode is one that I've been feeling so much in my heart lately because it's a conversation that Anna and I keep having behind the scenes with so many incredible women leaders right now, both our clients and those that we're connecting with. And it's this under-acknowledged time frame in business growth. And maybe it's a conversation that you didn't even know you needed to hear too. So there's this pivotal moment that happens in leadership and business growth that nobody really talks about. And it's not when everything's falling apart, and it's not when you're just starting out. It's really when the success that you've built, the mission that you love and that you're so passionate about, that you've poured so much into, starts to stretch you really, really thin, that to the point where what used to work just doesn't work anymore. Your business is growing, but your structure can't even keep up. You've hit your capacity. Your team is feeling it too. You're kind of doing everything that you can to keep it all afloat and stable. And if you're feeling that, I want you to know you are not doing it wrong. You're just reaching what we call a pivotal growth point. And today we're going to talk about what that looks like, how to recognize it, what to lean into when you're standing at that crossroads. Because the truth is, growth points are normal and they're good, but they are really uncomfortable because they signal that you are outgrowing your current structure and your current capacity in many ways. And that's both your kind of external capacity of, operations and the back end of your business and maybe your team, your staff, but also your internal capacity as a leader. So there's both the external strategic and the internal growth aspects of this. Most people mistake this as and kind of internalize it as a personal failure or burnout, or I might even just need better marketing. But you're not doing it wrong. You're simply at an inflection point. Let's dive in and talk about how to know when you are at this kind of a crossroads. So you are beyond, or you're coming out of that really, really challenging season of experimenting over and over again and kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall and just trying to figure out what's going to stick. And now something is working. And maybe it's working really freaking well. And you're like, this is overload almost. I can't even keep up, right? Or you're just starting to see that light at the end of the tunnel, and it's honestly maybe even feeling surprising, or you don't really know what to do with yourself now because there's momentum and there's traction, and you've been hoping and praying and putting in the work and waiting and hustling maybe even for so long to try to get to this place where you feel that sense of success and fulfillment and like, wow, this is working. My work is really making a difference, and I have this proven, validated offer, and people are attracted to it, and they're getting great results. And maybe, again, it's not quite at the level that you want it to be. Your income is not quite as stable as you want it to be. You're not quite seeing the numbers, but you still have, or you're developing this track record of success. It's starting to build, and you have built something pretty dang incredible. And now this thing is growing beyond what you can personally do and hold and contain, and it has a life beyond you. It really wants to be here, and God wants it to be here, and it wants to be born even more fully into the world and maybe beyond what you thought was even possible. So now success comes with a whole new ball game of challenges and maybe deeper fears and things that you've got to grow into. So let's talk about that. This pivotal growth point we're talking about is this messy stage between it's working and it's also no longer working, or it's no longer sustainable in the way that you've been doing it. So here are a few of those signs that you're standing at this threshold beyond what we've just been talking about. Those symptoms and signs that you may be missing because they kind of look and feel like a normal struggle. So you're carrying too much behind the scenes, and your team is too. Decision-making may be starting to feel heavier or slower or harder. You're just tired even thinking about it. You may be in decision fatigue a lot. You feel very scattered or stretched thin, and like you're constantly reacting instead of intentionally leading in the ways that you might want to be. Things are still technically working, but it does feel a bit like everything is duct taped together, or it's just not scalable. You know that if more pressure was applied to it, or if, let's just say, you received an influx of new clients all at once, for instance, like, I don't know if we could handle that. We're already at capacity. And yet we want to increase our income at the same time. So again, it's that tension point, right? You may have a really loyal, committed team, but everyone is maxed out, including you. And you may start to see the cracks of that. Tension may be rising, even if everybody really loves the mission, or there's some kind of fighting off burnout constantly. You may notice maybe some stepping on each other's toes, or role confusion, or just hidden resentment starting to build, or you're just worried that everyone's well-being is suffering because you're just trying to keep up with so much together. You love the mission. Obviously, this came out of your heart and soul, and probably out of the depth of your story and what you've walked through personally. But maybe you're wondering to yourself, okay, how long can I actually keep this up? Because you're tired of being the sole holder of the vision and the problems and the solutions and the tasks and where we're going and what we're doing and all the specific guidance that needs to be given. And it's simply exhausting. And maybe you're doing everything you should be doing, quote unquote, but it's not really feeling easy or like it's translating into momentum anymore. And sometimes I think it's easier to keep feeling like, okay, I just need a better marketing plan. I just need to get my own crap together, right? Get more organized. But deep down, you know that the real problem is probably bigger. There's more at the root. And you may feel this kind of low-key hum of dread or fatigue or disconnection or disillusionment, and what kind of feels like a bit of burnout that you might be navigating, or even almost feeling trapped in what you have created and worked so hard for. Like you can never turn off, or you're afraid everything might crumble without you. So I want to pause. That was a lot, but I think it's important to give a language to some of these things. And I want to ask you to just reflect for a moment. Which of these are you feeling most right now? What of that feels true to you in your experience right now? And if any of that sounds familiar, I want you to just take a deep breath with me for a moment and just know you are not alone. And this, again, is not a personal failure, although it may be easy to internalize it as that. I want to give you a bit of hope that this is a really powerful sign that you are just outgrowing the old way and you're being invited into a new way of leading. You're outgrowing that early stage of operating. So it's a good sign because growth is supposed to create tension. So you've been in that early stage of scrappiness. It's gotten you here. It's gotten you pretty dang far. But now, when we're looking ahead, long-term sustainable growth requires a different structure, different rhythms in leadership than that early momentum that has been building. And so the Lord is probably inviting you to mature in a way, your leadership, your team, or your systems, your business to support this next season. So let's think of this analogy like a garden or like a seedling growing out of its pot. So when the roots start crowding, when the soil, everything gets really tight, it's not because the plant is failing. It's quite the opposite, right? Because it's growing, it may just need a bigger container to now flourish and come more into the fullness that it's meant to be. So in the same way, your business, your mission, your leadership, your team, it may be outgrowing its old structure. And if it feels like everyone's kind of scattered or like there's this busting at the seams feeling, it's not your fault. And this discomfort is just, I think, honestly, it's the Lord's way of inviting us to pause, to slow down, to zoom out, and build something stronger and more sustainable for what He's asking you to steward next. And so let's transition into when we're at this point, what do we lean into? I want to frame this as you have two choices when you're at this kind of a pivotal growth point. You can keep muscling through, layering on more and more effort and doing more and more over this shaky foundation. Or you can pause. You can take that step back. You can zoom out, pull yourself out of the weeds for a moment and consider, okay, how do I need to shift the way that I'm operating to do this more sustainably? Because we want this whole thing to be life-giving, right? And supportive for you, for your team, for everyone involved in this mission. Our calling is not meant to be in constant conflict with our well-being. I would argue that God has designed it such that it's meant to allow you to thrive, to be beautifully supportive for you and for your family and for your team. And so instead of hustling harder or blaming yourself for this or just continuing to push through and just do as you've been doing, let's pause, let's get curious. Because pausing is what allows the breaking through. The breaking through of this capacity strain and the bottlenecks and the exhaustion that's tending to creep in at this stage. So specifically, what are some things we want to lean into? Number one is a root cause assessment. Just like many of those that we serve are in holistic women's health fields and have a passion for a root cause approach rather than Band-Aid solutions that just mask the symptoms and suppress what's really happening beneath the surface that may need to be tended to, right? So same thing with our business. What's really happening beneath the surface? Not just how can I fix this ASAP, but what's truly going on beneath those symptoms? Because the tendency is I got to patch things up, right? This isn't working. And we pile more and more Band-Aid approaches on, but that's not scalable. That's not sustainable. And so, spoiler here with the root cause assessment and those exploring and evaluating here is it's usually structural. It's usually deeper leadership shifts that are also needed. So you can ask, where is my structure, my systems, my rhythms, my team dynamics? Where do those need to evolve? And where is the growing into that we need to invite here? So that's number one. The second thing that you can lean into is a decluttering and discerning. So imagine, like Anna loves to use this analogy with decluttering because she's very much a minimalist, and I'm just always inspired by that, is just dumping out all of the kitchen cabinets and figuring out where's the mismatched Tupperwares and what doesn't belong anymore, what have we outgrown, what is old and gross that we just want to throw away, and what might we need to bring in that's new for this new season. So in that decluttering stage, it's where we ask the more root level questions. And we really look at everything as a whole and we do the dumping out. And that's important. It's really important at this stage. But again, it takes a slowing down, and that's what's really uncomfortable about it. And that's where this process that I often walk through with clients of strategic mapping is this is what we do. We dump out all the things across all the areas of the business, and it's just so fruitful. Had multiple strategic mapping sessions in the last couple weeks here, and it's been so beautiful to see even just verbally processing everything across the different areas of the business. And that invites such beautiful discernment then. So in this pause and in this decluttering discernment phase, it's really important to sit with the question of what's going on with me and my relationship with the business and daily life right now, and truly take the time to sit with this. So I want to encourage you to do that. Journal on it, pray on it, give this space and attention, because otherwise what's happening is it's festering beneath the surface, or it's this giant place of tension kind of screaming at you while you're still going so fast, trying to keep up with everything and throwing yourself into doing more. So we have to force the pause almost, right? We have to carve out the space for it and really asking those deeper questions of what's no longer aligned. Where is complexity maybe even choking growth? What roles, rhythms, or systems need to evolve into this next stage? What needs some real tending to that we may have been neglecting just for the sake of momentum that has been needed? Hello, friend. Megan here. There's this critical inflection point that no one really talks about in business. And it's a common thread that we've been seeing in all the clients that we're working with in higher level consulting, as well as in many of the leaders that we've been connecting with recently. Because we can talk and problem solve what do we do in the early stages of business when things aren't working, when we're not getting traction yet or not seeing momentum yet. But there's another level of crossroads and decision making when things are working. And now you're hitting new capacity walls. The dream is starting to work, but it's also getting heavy. On the outside, it looks like growth, but on the inside, things feel a bit more unstable, maybe chaotic. You're running into thresholds or bottlenecks, and you and your team or maybe your partner are really feeling the strain and the stretch. You're moving fast, but you're wondering if it's in the right direction, and things feel more complex and harder to keep up with because you've got more responsibility to manage, maybe more team members who depend on you. There's more visibility, more is at stake. We've been hearing a lot of leaders say things like, okay, it's working, things are going pretty well, there's traction, there's a bigger vision God is calling me into, but I'm doing way too much. I'm tired of wearing all the hats. I need more support. I need more breathing room. I need more space to do more of what I love, and I don't want to be so stuck in the weeds with all these things that drain me. So this is a very particular growth and scaling stage where sustainability looks different. And it can be easy for that to all start to feel like too much and be really freaking lonely. So this is the time that we like to call the pivotal growth point. And it's really critical to develop the foundational structure to support the business and you as the leader, so you're no longer carrying it all in your head. You may sense that there's this need for some shifts, for some restructuring, or maybe simplifying of your focus so that you can continue to scale and increase your impact, but without running yourself even more into the ground. So if this is you, if you're straddling that messy space between it's working and it's no longer sustainable, we want to invite you into an intimate, high-touch workshop that Anna and I are co-hosting called the Pivotal Growth Point Workshop for Catholic women who are at a crossroads in capacity and scaling. This will be May 7th from 12 to 2 Central Time, and it's only $149. We're capping it at 10 people so we can give really personalized support, and each person can walk away with clarity, direction, and a customized next steps map. So we're going to guide you through the same root level process that we use in our consulting work, both integrating the strategic operations pieces and the inner work. But we just want to offer it in a more accessible, intimate way because this is a space for you to step out of the weeds, pause, zoom out, gain the clarity and direction that you need. So if you know you're at this kind of a crossroads, or even if you're just a little bit curious, check out the link in the show notes below. See if this feels aligned for where you are and grab your spot. It is limited, again, to 10 women, and they may fill up quickly as we're getting the word out. So this is your opportunity to get our full attention on your business, your ministry, or your nonprofit in real time. We want to help you move forward and discern those next steps with peace. Go to apostolicfruit.com/pivotal to learn more and grab your spot. I want to give you an example of something that we just walked clients through who were supporting through a launch period. We have several launch strategy sessions. We also have some copywriting strategy and copywriting itself sessions for both their sales page and email sequence and nurturing of their audience. And it was really, really interesting what emerged in some of those first sessions. And we've been working with these clients for a while. I did strategic mapping with them at the beginning of this year, and so much goodness emerged there in order to allow for more longevity and sustainability for their business. But in the deep work that we were doing in preparation for this launch, we didn't end up covering what we originally planned in that exact time frame. What we had outlined was not what we ended up spending a lot of the time on. But we were deeply in integrity because this is what happened. It makes no sense to plan a launch for an offer that is no longer aligned. And so when we got into the session and we started to open things up, it became really clear that there needed to be an evolution of the offer in order to reflect the growth that they have experienced personally as leaders and in their work and in their ideal clients and in their business. And what would be sustainable for them in this next season was different than what they have been doing. And if we weren't willing to slow down and ask those harder questions, those really important foundational questions, and even doing the math on their deliverables and the time and energy expenditure for a certain number of calls that they were offering for the number of clients that they were aiming for in the program, we're looking at when we're trying to come out of this cycle of burnout or the cycle of being way too spread thin in our business, we have to sometimes do that real root level assessment of capacity and what's contributing to these stuck points, right? And so as I was debriefing with Anna afterwards about how the session with our clients went, we just agreed how important it is to not go into a launch doing the same thing you did last time just by default. If you don't feel completely aligned with your offering, the exact people you're speaking to, the exact touch points and deliverables, and everything being so mutually beneficial for both your people and for you and supportive for both, then it will not land. The copy would be off. Everything would feel heavier. You'd have internal resistance. You wouldn't connect with your people because you'd be protecting against receiving them in something that's not actually aligned anymore subconsciously, right? And so that dumping everything out and making really intentional decisions and discernment as we ask those important questions was the most fruitful work that we could have done then. And it is uncomfortable, but there's no way around it if we want to do this in a fully aligned and sustainable way. This is the heavy lifting that allows everything else to flow and feel lighter and feel more life-giving and be more you. So you've likely also been outgrowing or evolving beyond what your offer may have been in the past and the container that it was in. And it's maybe time for the next iteration to be born. So this is a pattern and a similarity we're seeing across many of the business owners' offers that we're looking at. And I just want to honor you if you are willing to do this deeper work, because it comes with a wrestling and it comes with a surrender. And the other thing about it is that it is next to impossible to do this on your own because you're just too close and enmeshed in it. My clients even said at the end of the session, they're like, it is so helpful and valuable to have your brilliant brain on this, but also we could make these decisions on our own, right? We're adults, but at the same time, we're just so close to it. We're in it. And you are objectively helping us look at it because you're not as attached to it. And so that's why, again, it's nothing on you that you can't do it on your own, but it can be really hard to have that objective critical eye when it's your baby, right? And so I just want to invite you into that awareness as well. And the other thing here that Anna had pointed out to me that I think was really beautiful as a metaphor, we're talking about always the garden, right? The garden paradigm rather than this factory mechanized paradigm. We have to accept the fact that we're not in full control of the process and the timeline of things. Like God has a say in all of this. We can't force the flower to bloom faster. It has a process. And same thing with the birthing of this next evolution of your business or your offering or your leadership. It also has a process. And so you are exactly where you're meant to be, even if it's super stretchy and uncomfortable. And this is what is fruitful for the longevity and sustainability, but it often needs space held for it. And it's hard to do on our own. Okay, so we've encouraged you to lean into the root cause approach, the decluttering and discerning process as we're opening those things up. And then this ties in with a third point, which is leadership recalibration. This pivotal growth point is the stage where the true leader is born. The leader inside you is going to come forth even more because it's no longer just about you doing everything you're humanly capable of, but it's about this aliveness that in these gifts that are meant to be shared, this movement that you're leading, this mission that now can create an impact beyond what you are personally capable of. It's also the point where you get to choose the kind of leader that you want to be or become. Because it's a stage where it's not only about the growth externally of the business, right? But internally in terms of the team and operations and strategy and the day-to-day execution and implementation of the vision, which is probably now bigger than what you can hold on your own. And so it's welcoming and it's inviting this identity shift for you as well. And part of that identity shift is that you get to make a choice. You get to make a choice of, do I want to shift from maybe reactive scrappiness and just doing all that I can to generate momentum to more strategic sustainability? Because now, again, it's not only about me. I've got more responsibility. I've got maybe a team that I'm stewarding here. And so part of this is going to be developing and mentoring and pouring into others. And you may at this point be feeling pretty worn down, the drain of all of those types of tasks that make you just honestly exhausted and are the last thing that you want to be doing and spending your time on. And it may feel really frustrating to be wearing so many hats and managing so many different pieces of this when you really just want to maybe be in the vision and the speaking and the connecting and the creation, the education, and you want to step more into that, but you feel really stuck in the details and the day-to-day, and you're like, I'm dying to have more support. And maybe that feels like a luxury you can't afford even because you don't have any space or time to do that, or you're discerning the next hire, but you haven't even necessarily felt like you've had space to figure it out, and you're just trying to keep up. So if you're in that place of feeling like, I just want to hand things off to other people, I want to just be able to tell somebody else, like, here's what I'm going for. Can you please just take care of this for me? And they figure out what to do. And you don't even have to give them every single step-by-step or like explicit guidance on how to do everything. But in a way that feels hard too, because delegating does take a certain amount of energy and time. And if you're already so tapped out, it's really hard to invest in that. So you may be noticing those kinds of catch-22s, right? You got this big desire to get out of the reaction mode and the feeling like you're maybe putting out fires constantly. You want to feel peace and excitement and anticipation when you sit down to your day knowing, okay, this is what I need to focus on, and not feeling like everything else is kind of screaming your name at once. You want to be more proactive, but that even feels like a moving target because maybe something is always coming up or getting in the way. And when you're already overloaded, how can I even fit in preparing for or planning ahead? Because that just feels like more to do on top of my already overflowing plate. So I see you if you're feeling those kinds of catch-22s. And this is why if you can't sustain what you've got in front of you right now, it's not even a good idea to try to grow more, period. It will only bring more complexity, more pressure. The stakes will get higher. So that's why, again, it's so critical to just slow down enough to redesign your container before pouring in more growth. Because we want this to be supportive for the overall whole, but we also want it to be supportive for you. You're not meant to do this alone. And this is my last piece here that I want to touch on is support and space. Now it may be an invitation to let others into this mission with you in a way that you haven't in the past. Or maybe surrender a little bit of this so that you can be even more co-creative with other people who have different gifts than you that are meant to complement yours. So you can step more into your zone of genius in the ways that you want to. But that's also uncomfortable because let's just be straight about it. It requires trust. It requires a letting go of all these things that you probably alone have been holding for so long yourself. And as Anna and I have always talked about in these episodes, there's a choice that you have in this. You have the ability and freedom to approach this differently, to think about this differently, to lead differently. So you're not meant to do this alone in terms of execution, implementation, but I also want to encourage you, you're not meant to figure this out alone either. And it takes courage and humility. But I think the wise leaders that are able to break through in this stage and maintain their sanity and well-being in the process really are open to support and seeking external perspectives and inviting in collaboration and strategy at this point. Because again, you're so close, you're too close to it often to see yourself. It's really, really hard when you're in the weeds and you're really attached to it. So my encouragement to you is you're standing at this really sacred crossroads. And it's not just about fixing things. It's about really preparing intentionally and stewarding what God has given you well, and then expanding your capacity and receptivity so that He can entrust you with receiving more. So if you are feeling those symptoms, you're not alone. It's a good thing you're noticing it. And we want to notice and be aware. We want to accept where we are. And then we can reassess from there. We can build wisely and intentionally for what's ahead. So if you're standing at this pivotal growth point, we would love to walk with you. This is what we do. This is what Anna and I do. And our gifts come together really beautifully in this, both in the operational strategy side of it that I can offer as a certified director of operations, and in the holistic leadership coaching side of it, the deeper inner work that Anna is so brilliant at. So on Wednesday, May 7th, Anna and I are hosting a special 2-hour workshop just for Catholic women leaders who are navigating this exact season. We have only 10 slots. We're capping it at 10. We've got several that are already sold as of today when I'm recording this, April 25th. So if you are interested, please go check it out sooner rather than later. What we're going to do is we will walk you through the same root level assessment process that we use with our consulting clients. So we want to help you uncover what's really going on. And we want you to walk away with clear next steps, a next steps map for what healthy, sustainable growth looks like for you and your business or your ministry or your nonprofit. So it's only $149. It's live. It's intimate. Again, we're capping it at 10 just so that we can give personalized feedback. It's designed to give you the clarity, the direction, some strategizing, some support for the inner work, and really the encouragement you need to be able to move forward and lead your team well with peace. So you can find the link in the show notes below if you're curious, or you can register at apostolicfruit.com/pivotal. Either way, my friend, whether you join us or not, whether you're exactly in this season or not, I want you to hear this today. Whatever growth stage you're in, it is sacred ground. It is an invitation from the Lord in some way or another. He wants to prepare you for more, to be able to receive more. And so what does stewarding it well look like? And I want to remind you, you don't have to. You're not meant to carry it alone. So sending you so much love and encouragement today and praying for you as you discern your next steps.
We hope you loved today's episode. If so, would you take a moment to share it with a friend?
If you haven't already, come connect with us human to human at apostolicfruit.com/connect. When you're ready, we'd love to support you more deeply.
May the Lord bless you and keep you, make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you,
And turn his face toward you and give you peace.